Meow.
Childlike view of the world went, nothing replaced it.
Nothing replaced it. Nothing replaced it. Nothing replaced it. Nothing replaced it. I do not like being innocent, and I do nothing replaced it. I do not like being utterly innocent. I do not like being
attraction that's holding me fast. How can I escape its irresistible grasp? Can't keep my eyes from the circling sky. Tongue-tied and twisted, just an earthbound misfit. Turn to stone. A sole intention, it's learning to fly. Condition grounded, but determined to try. Can't keep my eyes from the circling skies. Tongue-tied and twisted, just an earthbound misfit.
Set. Mixtures, bridge. Propellers, flaps, set, 10 degrees. Gauges and suction, check. Transformers, set, recheck. Filters, check back. Utility turn on. Strobes on.
Across the clouds I see my shadow fly. Out of the corner of my watering eye, I dream unthreatened by the morning light. Could blow this soul right through the roof of the night. There's no sensation to compare with this. Suspended animation, state of bliss. Can't keep my mind from the circling sky. Tongue-tied and twisted, just an earthbound misfit.
you got over there? Sponges? Uh-huh. Things on the outside. Oh yeah, I can see the spines. Might have a close-up. Oh yeah? It's a good one. Is that black? Yeah. Purple. See, I can see color through the thing. She goes.
No, it's just
There it is.
pretty neat. Get a close-up of it?
Yeah, I can.
No, it just swam that way.
Okay, that's a tunicate, right?
Yep.
What are you seeing? Okay, this is the boat of the Bermuda Biological Station, one of them anyway. I believe it's called Weatherbird. I'll check on that. This whole thing is, I believe, Ferry Reach. Just the reach of the ocean.
That tree's wild.
Anybody else?
I think we're actually ready.
Okay. My nose needs it. At some point, it's going to peel off. Get close to the action. Make me pan.
Let my inspiration flow in token rhyme, suggesting rhythm that will not forsake me till my tale is told and done. While the fire lights aglow, strange shadows from the flames will grow till things we've never seen will seem familiar. Shadows of the sailor forming, winds both foul and fair all swarm. Down in Carlisle he loved a lady many years ago. Here beside him stands a man, a soldier, from the looks of him, who came through many fights but lost at love. While the storyteller speaks, a door within the fire creaks. Suddenly flies open, and a girl is standing there. Eyes alight with glowing hair, all that fancy paints as fair. She takes her fan and throws it in the lion's den. Which of you to gain me tell will risk uncertain pains of hell? I will not forgive you try the soldier, be much too wise. Strategy was a strength and not disaster. That's how it stands today. You decide if he was wise. The storyteller makes no choice. Soon you will not hear his voice. His job is to shed light and not to master. wheels of fortune beat like rain. You're back in Terrapin for good or ill again. For good or ill again.
I'd suggest is we work in groups on the reef flat here, maybe swim out that way, come back. We're looking for whatever we can find. Fish, gastropods, and most importantly, I'll expect people to recognize corals. I'll be pointing out corals. You should see a lot of anemones, algae. Should be a rich day, yeah. Maybe even crabs. Sea crabs are collection there. All right? You haven't done very well on crabs.
No. They always run away. I can't catch it.
Where's Master Soda?
We're not right now. Limiting factors when we get hungry. Maybe come back and figure out coming back to the boat at 12:30 for lunch. They give us time for a quick swim at the end as well.
Exercise. We got exercise. Watch the ears, all right. Easy with the ears.
Yeah. It's been on for hours. Just
What a club. This is Mark.
No, don't do this. This is embarrassing.
Walker Ballet.
See, I got the ones all over, so I'm afraid to push on them, right?
Madam
Uh-huh.
Remember when we do this?
well, now that you've explained it, it's okay.
Maybe I can do it another way.
I know. Somebody tell me. Who else is jumping in?
Hold on. Hold on.
No, it's not easy. I can't get up. Give me a rope. Lift me out with this lift.
Wait, you get the winch?
Yeah, right. It's going right here.
Uh-oh, you guys are drifting away. They're swimming. Oh, yes. Do you hold both, please?
It's a great jump.
What is it? Cannonball boat. Yeah. I know it.
No, I think I want to jump.
You're right.
probably keep together as a group pretty much, so Wolfgang gets it.
What I should do is take you behind the scene first, and then you have all the time. I bug off, and you have all the time to spend.
Super, great.
Isn't that the easiest?
That's great. So, have we got everybody? Yes.
No, Sam is here.
Sam.
I brought Sam to show her the slide collection after the formal tour.
Great.
So we don't need the ones with us for now.
A little later. Well, let me introduce Dr. Wolfgang Sterer, who is the curator of the museum, the former director of the biological station, and Wolfgang's been kind enough to show us through the back side of the aquarium and also to the museum. Wolfgang? Thanks.
Where all the skeletons are, the closets. Okay, well, welcome to the Bermuda Aquarium Museum and Zoo, as it's officially called. It actually shares a lot of its history with the biostation. Both started together as one unit shortly after 1900 and had various fates going from one place to another, Agers Island and so on. And in the 20s, they split fortunes, and the biostation went her own way and became a U.S. non-profit institution, incorporated in 1926. And the aquarium, museum, and zoo in the same year actually was built and established here as an arm of a branch of government. It's under the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries. And from there on, it has been here. Only recently, the museum has been added as a scientific facility. Actually, it was built only 3 years ago, and about a year ago, I started as curator of the museum. There's another curator here who is in charge of the aquarium and zoo, also a biostation graduate, that's Tom Sleater. And then there is a principal curator, Richard Winslow, who is in charge of the whole facility, administrative terms and so on. So what we can do is just go behind the scene here at the aquarium. Then I think I'll take you upstairs to the museum and show you that new facility there. And then I think then you have whatever time there is to look at the aquarium and the zoo and the museum downstairs at your weekend. The water for the aquarium comes from down here in Flats Inlet and is pumped up very much like the biostation's water system. It's gravity fed up into big tanks up there, and then it comes down into the aquaria. It's not filtered in any way, so it's not a recirculating closed system. It's just open, which has its advantages or disadvantages. The advantages is that you always get fresh water. You don't have to worry about filtration and so on. The disadvantage is that you get differing water qualities because the tide runs back and forth fairly rapidly between Herton Sound, which is very enclosed here, and the open water. So sometimes you get inshore water and sometimes you get offshore water. And the inshore water may very well be sediment laden and nutrient laden, and so anyway, I do not know too much about that, but I know that this may cause problems with fish stress and so on. So you have a varying quality. There are various buildings here in the back. We have an education room over there and deep freezers and so on, workshops. And I think what we do is let's go in and just through the back of the aquarium and then over to the museum. Be careful when you step on.
Okay.
Just keep coming in.
Okay.
Be very careful, yeah? It's not only narrow but also slippery, so do hold on. Don't fall into any of the aquaria or the rockfish cages.
Can you see that looking through there?
Yeah, it's coming through. But not too clearly.
The big problem is, say, a reef environment. So we're still trying to improve that. This was built in the 20s when obviously there was no or very little knowledge about the requirements of keeping corals and invertebrates and so on alive. The whole thing was really geared towards fish, and now we are hoping to get more corals and maybe pieces of reef that are healthy and thriving, and that's quite a challenge. Because you have to have the right light spectrum.
Because there was a reason why you decided to do this instead of string.
I'm just wondering why he's covered with
Much
all
less
the
administration, money, and fundraising, and so on.
Yeah. Cleaning up after the
And
fundraising.
playing with animals,
Right.
for fun. No, actually, the coursework and so on, that is fun. The education and research, that is the fun side. But the administrative side, personnel, accounting, fundraising, we can have it.
Yeah, I believe it.
Okay, I think we should move on.
It's a Bermuda long tail, which is a bird that can be seen content in Bermuda very well. Now that's a big turtle.
So they're not actually tortoises,
Yeah. Tortoises are
they're
extraterrestrial.
Yeah, well,
no, that's what these those are tortoises. Oh, where's the little one?
why don't you kiss him, Harry? So I can take a good picture.
Me too.
John, why don't you kiss that one? I won't take a good picture. No, right now.
They do bite, you know.
I know. I was so
They do bite.
from my
And
hand.
your finger can be gone if you're not careful.
Really?
Yeah. They're very sharp beaks. And they take a while to aim and go, but when they bite, it hurts. Integrate rather than duplicate. Behind you see some of the original illustrations that were made for William Beebe. William Beebe was the deep sea explorer, really a pioneer, the first one who ventured down into the deep sea in the 1930s, and he had the incredible courage of crawling into this tiny little sphere, of which you'll see a replica outside the museum here, a fiberglass replica, but in the original size. So you try and climb in and sit in there. You get claustrophobic even when it sits on the grass. But he lowered himself, what was it, 800 and some meters, just on a cable. Anyway, these are the originals that were made partly with his own help, partly from what he telephoned up when he was down there. There was his secretary furiously writing upstairs on the ship as he was seeing all these wonderful things floating by, and afterwards he was being criticized by his colleagues, mostly by those who were envious of his success. Well, he was the Cousteau of his time. He was very flamboyant and very publicity conscious, and a lot of people were not too happy, the more staid scientists here. And they called some of these fish his brain fish, because they thought they only existed in his brain. The estimate of how many living species there are on Earth has been revised upward from formerly about 1 million to then maybe 2 or 3, now to maybe 20 or 30 million species, most of which are probably insects and spiders and other arthropods that live way up in the rainforest canopy, which ironically is being destroyed now faster than we can record all these species.
Which leads to the question, how many have we missed?
Sure, how many have we missed already?
In fact, we can't see.
But yeah.
Just been wiped out.
Anyway, this is going to be a guest office, and this is my office here for environmental planning. A small island like Bermuda that is, and if you do have a chance and are interested in the environment in general and what can be done or should not be done, we put out a little book a few years ago, Bermuda's Delicate Balance, which is in the library of the biostation, which is a kind of an inventory of Bermuda as a human environment. And we suggest all sorts of possibilities. But the main problem is Bermuda is 20 square miles, 60,000 people, more than 500,000 tourists per year coming and going, with an average of 5 days per week staying here. That adds a lot of pressure, with virtually no resources other than the beauty of its environment. We have nothing in the ground to dig up other than stone with which the roofs are made, with sandstone. There is very little agriculture. There are only about 500 acres left that are being cultivated. 500 acres out of 12,000. That's the whole island. Yeah. So it's very productive, yes, with 3 or 4 crops per year, but 500 acres is not very much. It could be. And we calculated one time that Bermuda, even under emergency measures, that is plowing up golf courses and so on, could feed maybe 1/10 of its population. So everything is being imported. Fisheries is getting very quickly now down to rock bottom, literally. That is fish that only a few years ago would not have been touched because nobody wanted to eat them. They were considered trash fish, the breams, parrotfish, and so on. They're now being caught. Parrotfish is almost the #1 catch now. All this means, that we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of resources. Land is sky high. An acre of land, if you can still get an acre of not very distinguished land, doesn't even have to be waterfront or anything, is like $300,000. A house, you cannot buy a house for less than $250,000 anymore, period. Yeah? Don't even think you can get a smaller, can't I get a slightly smaller house and pay less? No, it's not. So what this is going to do to this island, which is a beautiful island that exists only on tourism, which still has a growing population, not very much, but still growing, which means that a lot of young people, and let's not forget that the aspirations are also growing from generation to generation, if only because parents encourage their kids to aim higher than where they were. It's one of these self-feeding things. So where this is going to lead on an island that is by and large one of the most prosperous, peaceful, racially integrated that certainly I've ever experienced. But where do we go from here? Is there a possibility anywhere in the world, or I should say, is it possible in principle for a country, for an economy to continue to thrive without material growth? I don't think that problem has been solved anywhere in the world yet. Maybe Bermuda can approach it. Maybe there's hope. But it's a very interesting place. So I'm throwing this in because I know you are here for a specific purpose, but look at the whole island as one big outdoor lab, one big outdoor experience in living, and in living preferably in harmony with nature. Not that we're always doing it, but if you have been to other islands in the Caribbean or in the Pacific, you will see that some are doing better, some are doing extremely poorly. I just heard the other day about Cayman Islands, how what a terrible job apparently they're doing, just raising the mangroves and putting high rises and condos there, and where this is going to lead. Bermuda by and large has done extremely well, I think, but we'll see where we go from here. Together, you keep the light.
And this is that's a very funny looking plateau over there. It's completely calm. Not moving at all. They almost look like it's a bird. They almost look like they're just parts of the tree. Stump next to this one. It's easier to see him in color probably. And this one is in water. There we've got some huge mothers. Not very fast, are they? So now we want to be bitten by one. I also wouldn't want to be one, I don't think. It's a boring life with a shell like this on your back.
Oh no, that's real stuff. That's not fake. Didn't you listen when they started? Yeah.
Well, that's funny. I would look. This is the same scene that they go in my laboratory. I never got
Squids.
They've asked me several things, but I want to see fish called the surgeon fish. Look at the base of the tail is a spine. Okay? And what they'll do is they'll put that thing out on either side. It's sharp. And they'll actually swipe that at other fish.
Or divers that try to catch
Or
them.
divers. I've known people who've gotten some very impressive exhibits.
That's what we're going to see on the boat tomorrow. Rob, real life.
There's the lanterns back there in the corner. Oh, you call it round stuff.
There's a
Exactly.
No, I don't want to.
What's there? Sea urchin.
Is that coral?
fortress in a way with these doors in the rock.
Yeah, wait till I come get you. You're sure, Jeremy?
All right, Penny. First one of the boat. Everybody else? Sorry, I missed it. There it is. Come on, Dave, you're brave. As they're walking in.
Yeah. I just bought
This
it.
is Dave's yacht, he just bought it. How much did you spend on this, Dave?
Oh, $3 million.
That's all?
Comes with an engine.
I can see it has a transparent bottom, so you can observe the
Where's the dining
sea
hall?
life.
It's a shuffleboard.
In the 1940s, the island was a place of staging area for other observations and biological things that he did out here. He actually had this old barge called the Sea Fern run aground so that he could both have a landing area and also apparently he did use some of those holes that are still standing as a place to keep fish. The thing was obviously in much better shape at that time, and you could, in fact, parts of the vessel hold as an aquarium. This is what he evidently did. Originally, the island was under private ownership, and the first actual use of the island for anything official was in the middle of the 1860s when a yellow fever hospital was established out here. The buildings up the way that we'll see in a few minutes were at least the oldest one of the buildings built at that time as part of this yellow fever hospital. At that time when it was built, they didn't know what caused yellow fever. And later on, when they learned that it was mosquito-transmitted disease, they were less worried about contagion, and they felt that the island sat vacant for a bit. BB used it in the 1930s, and then the boys' training school came into being in the 40s. Training school closed at about the same time that the base was finished. It was more difficult to get from here to St. George's because of the base being there. Also, the number of boys that needed to be trained had increased, so they moved the facility over to Padgett Island. And from that time on, the island was not inhabited. In the 1960s, David Wingate began to use it as part of the Living Museum project. In the 50s, he had rediscovered, he was involved in the rediscovery of the Cahal, and there are some pictures of the Cahal here. Lewis Mowbray and Robert Murphy were the two people who, in the 60s, he then began his Living Museum project to bring the island back to what it had been before. Before the Cahal had homes, before the cedar scale had gotten on the cedar tree. The aim, as the Heritage Under Siege explained, is to take the island and to remove all the introduced things insofar as possible, replace them with native trees and endemic species. so that it will give a snapshot of what Bermuda used to be like. The building, David conceived the idea of reestablishing the yellow-crowned night heron, which was thought to have been here before, was not living on the island, not nesting on the island at the time of the project. He brought in young birds from Florida, I think, and weaned them, taught them how to eat land crabs, and they have been controlling the population ever since. They're now nesting on the island. Some birds are nesting on the mainland now. So that reintroduction has been very successful. Apparently it was quite interesting to watch the young birds try to learn how to cope with these crabs. They were pretty frightened at first, but then got their courage up and developed an effective technique for eating them. They more or less throw them up in the air, shake them, they hang onto the body, shake them so the claws fall off, and then swallow the rest of the crab. So often what you'll see are the bits that fell off. On systems, not an endemic or a native here. The seed pods are very well adapted to transporting the palm from one island to another, because those outer kernels fall off and they dry and they're very light and they can float in the surface waters of the ocean fairly long distances, land on another. We're trying to in the rock. Some of the places where they still exist in large numbers are on these very small offshore islands. There is further out there. And there's even less of them out there than there is here. So the birds were using the crevices. That was fine. The birds would come in November to select a place on the cliff to lay their egg and raise their chick. But then later on in the spring, the longtails come in. Longtails also use these areas on the cliff. And what happened routinely in the early days was the longtails would come in and kill the cow chicks. So David needed to somehow protect the cow chicks from the longtails. And he devised this kind of artificial burrow that the longtail adults could get into and lay the egg in a nest chamber quite a ways back. It's dark, it's a narrow passageway, the longtails could not get inside.
How deep are those?
If I can get someone to lift this lid, you can see.
On the turning away from the pale and downtrodden, and the words they say which we won't understand. Don't accept that what's happening is just a case of all the suffering. Or you'll find that you're joining in the turning away. It's a sin that somehow light is changing to shadow and casting its shroud over all we have known. All the while how the ranks have grown, driven on by a heart of stone. We could find that we're all alone in the dream of the brown. On the wings of my soul. Seems so long I felt this way, and time sure passing slow. Still I know I'll lead the way. They tell me where I go. Don't worry about me. Oh, no, no, don't worry about me, no. And I'm in no hurry. Oh, no, 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 I know where to go. California, a prophet on the burning shore. California, I've been knocking on the golden door. Like an angel, standing in a shaft of light, and rising up to paradise. I know I'm gonna shine. Now you've all been asleep, you would not believe me. And then voices telling me you will soon receive me. You're standing on the beach, the sea will part before